Yo, 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 yo!
Wrestling fans, are you ready? You better get those Magusta pops. It's time for all the Kayfabe.
Oh, me gusta.
Into the danger zone.
Hey, yo. Well, let me tell you something, brother. It's time!
The mother effing man.
That thing says fucking Pondo.
Fucking Pondo. I like that.
Fucking Pondo. You got to say it just like that. Fucking Pondo.
Speaking of which,
What's up, brother?
What's up? Am I on?
Yes, sir.
good. You're good to
And
go.
you can hear me, right?
Here, we can hear you loud and clear.
And you guys can go ahead with your fuck Pondo, because, yeah, I'm a fuck Pondo.
Fucking
Pondo.
So, how was your movie?
Oh, it was great. I didn't think I'd like it as much as what I did. But I went and saw The Boogeyman, and I thought it was going to be full of jump scares, but it actually had a story to it. Yeah, man, I'm a bigger horror movie fan than I am a wrestling fan.
Yeah, that's my
True
shit.
story.
Dude, did you get a chance to see Black Phone yet?
I did.
Man, what'd you think of that one?
I'm so glad that they're going to have a Black Phone too. I don't know how they're going to do it, but
That's how I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The first one was great. The second one needs to be better. How you feel about Terrifier?
fuck, man. Terrifier. We had on my other podcast, we had David Howard Thornton, the guy who plays Art the Clown.
Oh
on,
shit!
Okay, so since you brought up Terrifier, if you go to the credits of Terrifier 2,
Yeah.
and you wait until it says, it doesn't say special thanks to, it says, I can't remember what it says, but you'll see a whole list of names. But if you go all the way over to the left and alphabetical order, keep going down, it'll say Kevin Kennedy, Canady. That's me, motherfuckers, because I gave to their Indigo.
Yo,
That's
that's
cool.
crazy.
That's really cool.
I actually have Terrifier too. I watched both of them, and they just announced the third one's happening, which is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing because I love.
You
the
saw
Terrifier
All Hallows
series.
Eve, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, art was created out of two anthology movies called All Hallows Eve and All Hallows Eve 2. They star Art the Clown in them.
Yep.
And the character was so popular that they decided to make a movie out of it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, go out of your way and watch it, Nick. They're good.
So,
They're okay.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Water Kayfabe podcast, Pro Wrestling podcast. I am your host of MS1, Nick Venom, along with my two good friends, Staggerly Crocker and the man himself, Dan, the mother effing man. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have GCW Hardcore Hall of Fame, Deathmatch Hall of Fame, JCW Original. You know him. He's one of the pioneers, in my opinion, the pioneers of deathmatch wrestling. I give you the one, the only, Madman Pondo!
That's me. Hell
Welcome
yeah.
to the show, brother.
That was a hell of an introduction. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've
No,
been working
no
all
problem,
night
man. You
for it.
deserve it. You deserve it.
So what's going on, guys? Got questions?
Got a little bit of everything for you, my man.
Little
Let's
bit of
do it.
everything.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I think we'll just start it off with the normal answer or normal question, man. How'd you get your start in professional wrestling?
So a long time ago, not even my grandparents, my great grandparents, we would go there to eat every Sunday. And my family is very reserved. They hate being center of attention. They're kind of quiet, except me. I'm in your fucking face. You know what I mean? So I don't know where I came from. I got to check the postman. I swear I'll beat that postman's ass. But so it was very quiet on Sundays, and we would eat, lunch and all that shit. But a lot of my family would leave because my great grandparents would watch Channel 7 Wrestling, which was Jerry the King Lawler, Bill Dundee, Sheep Herders, Moondogs, all them guys. And next thing you know, there'd be son of a bitches and dirty motherfuckers and all types of shit. You know? And me and my brother, we were just blown away by this, but we loved it so much that these two very old people that we grew up never knowing that they knew those words would just spout those fucking words. But it made me so happy that, yeah, that's how I decided that's what I wanted to do someday. Then in grade school, my mom still has this paper around her house somewhere. They had this paper that said, "Draw what you want to be when you get older," and some kids were drawing policemen, some was drawing veterinarians, some was drawing doctors. Kiss asses was drawing teachers. You know the fucking way it goes. Well, mine had a wrestling ring with two stick figures going at each other, and I had to ask the teacher how to spell it, but I said I want to be a professional wrestler. And my mom had that for the longest time, and she doesn't know where it is. But so later on in life, I mean, guys, I've been going to wrestling since a very young age, and I'm not talking about this WWE that you can go to and it's family friendly. No, I was going to like wrestling at the Chase with Bruiser Brody making motherfuckers bleed, and going to that Coliseum where the sheep herders were tearing people's foreheads up, and ICW Angelo Paphos where Macho Man and Leapin' Lanny and Crusher Broomfield, who became the one-man gang later, was bleeding all over the place. But 5 hours from me was Chicago, and they had everything. They had WWF, WCW, AWA, WCCW even went there, but there was this one company called Windy City Wrestling, and they would throw together these obscure matches that it would just draw me in. Like they had Bruiser Brody versus John Nord. They had the very first Bam Bam Bigelow versus Bam Bam Terry Gordy. They had Sergeant Slaughter versus Colonel De Beers boot camp match. Abdullah slaughtered this guy named Frank the Tank. The original Midnight Express was there with Paulie Dangerously. Eddie Gilbert was there. You know, just a whole bunch of cool ass shit. And later on in life, I worked at a video store. My first 3 jobs was video stores.
Hell yeah.
And across from the video store, there was a guy named Milton Smith. He was an oil guy. And he knew what a big wrestling fan I was. He was also a teacher at Olney Central College. And he called my job one day and he said, "Hey, I have a wrestler in my class right now." And I said, "Oh my God, get that guy's telephone number for me." He's like, "Okay, why? Or you want to start going to his wrestling matches?" I said, "Hell no. I want to be a professional wrestler. And I'm going to ask that guy where to go." And that's exactly what I did. And so I trained for like 6-7 months, where a lot of guys fell off. I kept going. And when I say fell off, a lot of back then, it's way different now, man. Back then, you had to prove that you wanted to be a professional wrestler. So I had these guys kicking my shit in weekend after weekend after weekend. But I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I have a very high pain tolerance. I don't know if you ever realized that or not.
Obviously.
So I just kept going. And finally I gained these dudes' respect. And now none of them are wrestling. I'm the only one wrestling. They can all, But the cool thing about it is that's where I got my start. Then I moved from there to Bill Dundee was running a furniture store. He would move the furniture to the side and run a wrestling show. Chris Champion was running out of Homewood, Tennessee. But in my second year of wrestling, there was a guy named Dale Mann out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. And my second year of wrestling, I was already traveling around to North Dakota, South Dakota, Nevada, Arizona. He would run all these Indian reservations. So I feel very lucky that I already got to travel my second year into wrestling. There's a lot of wrestlers that ain't even traveled today. So yeah, man. I don't know if I answered your question, but I know I get windy. I talk too fucking long.
No, talk. The
No,
floor is
keep
yours.
going, bro. Keep going.
Okay.
I'll say this though. My introduction to you, and this is gonna probably be people around my age may know you. I played a game called Backyard Wrestling, and I remember getting it as a B-Day gift from like my dad because he's like, "Hey, I heard you like to do backyard wrestling, so here's a game based on that." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I'm like, I've seen all these guys, and I see Madman Pondo, and I'm like, "Well, this dude looks like a pretty badass guy. Let me play with it. Let me see what this guy's all about." And like first 5 minutes of the match, you bust it open. It's like Jesus Christ! Like
it's kind of my MO. It's kind of my MO. They put that right in the old game.
So talk to me about how was it like the making of backyard wrestling? What was it like?
So, one of the Gathering of the Juggalos. I've been to all 22, so I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of them that was on the inside. Might have been Novi, Michigan. I get my brains beat out all the time. I can't remember. But I don't drink alcohol, but I had my Asian fiance with me, and she drank. So there was this guy who was like, "Hey man, I'd really like to talk to you. I'll be in the bar. Drinks are on me and all this shit." Well, I was drinking screwdrivers with about this much vodka in it, and of course she was hounding her shit down. And this guy finally says, "Yeah, the reason I'm here is I want to start making a video game, and I want to put ICP and I want to put some of the JCW originals in there." Right. And of course, all right, motherfucker, you hear so much shit in professional wrestling. So I was like, all right, dude, cool. So the last day I got paid. He was in the bar. I went and I paid for his drinks. So the cool thing was the shit came true. Like the guy kept getting a hold of me and saying, "Hey," finally he flew me to California, and we did the voice shit and moved for the game. And then he rented a mansion, and we did, me, Rude Boy, M Dog, and Josh Prohibition did matches outside the mansion.
I remember that.
They did not tell the guy who owned the place that we was going to be breaking light tubes, so that was this much problem.
Shit! And
then I went to England with it. I went to Japan with it. Yeah, man. I mean, and here's the thing. I have never been on any major TV shows, but just that one thing always made me feel like, hey, I'm a professional wrestler because I'm in a video game. Not one, not two, but three video games. And, there's a lot of wrestlers who will never be in a video game. So I get a bad reputation, they say, because I'm a bleeder, but there's a lot of steroided, muscle-bound wrestlers that's not been on video games. So, hey, this guy.
Now, speaking of ICP, I know you wrestled with JCW for a long time. Are you still in contact with ICP?
The Gathering of the Juggalos, July 5th to the 8th. Of course, me and Necro are a tag team on that. Two Saturdays ago for Atomic Legacy Wrestling, Violent J came in and managed me versus Tony DeVito. And we were sitting around talking. He was like, "Pondo," and Violent J was like, "Pondo, you know what? You've been with us from the beginning." Because if you think about it, there was one show called Stranglemania Live. I was there. There was a second show called Hellfire Wrestling. I was there. And then when JCW started, I was there. And then all 22, 23 coming up in July, I'm the only wrestler that's been to all the Gathering of the Juggalos and did something inside the ring. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm still and I also did the netting game and did a little interview with Jay and Shags. I mean, yeah, man, it's been we added it up. It's 26 years. All three of us. I've always been with them at least one time a year, more than one time a year.
Man, that's cool. Now I know you work. I don't know how long it was, but I think you worked in USWA. Was it as bad as everybody says it was that worked there?
Here's the thing, man. In my opinion, that I was like 3.5 years in. I was living a fucking dream. I was on shows with Jerry the King Lawler, Bill Dundee, Eddie Gilbert, PG-13, Doug Gilbert. You know, all these guys, so yeah, I was getting my shit kicked in. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't care. I could look around the locker room and like the who's who of the guys that I was going to the Evansville Coliseum to watch were there. And my demise was there was a guy named Buddy Wayne. You guys probably don't even know who that is.
I've actually heard of him though. From I think I've heard of him on Cornette's podcast.
Probably so. One of the nightmares was his son. So anyway, he comes in the locker room, and of course, I'm low man on the totem pole. I'm talking about Lawler, Dundee, Moondogs, all these guys. But I was there with Kane. Kane took me there, but he was doing a character called the Christmas Creature.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Jamie never heard of that shit. Google that. That was just so he had pencil and Christmas lights all over him. So I'm there with him, and of course I'm moondog bait that night, but I don't care. I don't care what I'm doing. So Buddy Wayne comes in. He's got a cup of coffee with his pinky out like this, and he always licked it. And he was like, boy, what you doing with that elbow pad and that knee pad on? Because I had a plastic elbow pad and a plastic knee pad on. And I said, nothing. And he goes, well, what do you got it on for? I said, for a show. And he was showing off to everybody in the room, but using me as an example. He goes, God damn it. That's why we can't draw no people today, because all you young kids keep treating this business like a show. If you treat it like a business, we would still be drawing people, but you people, you kids, keep treating it like a show. And he turned around to walk out. And when he turned around, I said, excuse me, Mr. Wayne. And he turned around, I said, have you met the Christmas Creature? Everybody in the room, Lord, Dundee, everybody laughed at him. Laughed hysterically at him. So this was the days of answering machines. So by the time I got home, I had a message from Kevin Lawler saying, "Hey, you can't come to the studio anymore. Thank you for all your work, but we don't need you anymore." And fucked myself because of this thing. I can't keep my mouth shut sometimes.
Been in that predicament. I've been in that predicament plenty of times.
That's all right.
So, but yeah. So I just watched GCW's Tournament of Survival 8, which is actually, if you really look at it, CCW's Tournament of Death.
Yeah.
Now, with today's landscape of deathmatch wrestling, what are your views of the current state of it?
I feel. See, I've been there since I was number 3 in America to do death matches.
Right.
Axel Rotten and this other piece of shit did it at ECW. And me, I was number 3. And me and that piece of shit wrestled at IWA Mid-South for 6 months. And, so I can't explain to you just how difficult it was doing death matches back then that, it wasn't respected.
Right.
Crowd loved it. the crowd would cheer for it. I say that, but some mothers would grab their children like footballs and run them out of the building. But
Right.
the thing about it was how difficult it was to do a death match back then. But now you can go down the line, man. You got GCW, ICW,
Yeah.
CZW. Help me out, guys. RPW.
No holds barred.
No holds, same thing. But I mean, back then it was so difficult. But now, it seems like every given weekend, one of those companies is giving somebody some kind of deathmatch show. And some promoters I get along with, some promoters I don't get along with, but I do respect every promoter that's helping out with death matches. And if you really think about it, so who did the? It was Moxley and
Was it Jericho? No, it was Omega.
Omega did the exploding barbed wire. Now, was that a shit show fireworks show at the end of it? Yes.
God.
But you saw how many people it drew. I was on talk with Jericho, and he told me it was the biggest buy rate they'd ever had.
Yeah.
What that draw was that death match at the end. And then, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker.
Oh,
yeah.
Saw that. That was
damn,
awesome.
that was a good match.
I wrote them both and said, "Hey, I'm so proud of both of you." And Nick Gage and Chris Jericho on national TV.
Dude,
Yeah.
yes.
I was about to say AEW's like they're actually helping the make it more mainstream.
So
I never thought. Yeah, I never thought I'd see Nick Gage on national TV.
Well, I didn't think I'd ever see a death match on national TV.
Nah.
Yeah,
So,
that too.
So shout out to GCW for helping the deathmatch workers out with this, making it maybe a little mainstream. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. My thoughts on deathmatch shows today, way easier than when I started doing this shit.
So
it was not to cut you off, Dan, but it was absolutely outlawed in like various states. I think at one point Delaware was the only state that could actually have a deathmatch show, and now it's pretty much everywhere.
That's not true. I was doing deathmatch shows more than Delaware, but I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Philly. They started getting a commission, and New Jersey started getting some kind of regulations, but Delaware said, "Fuck it, do what you're gonna do."
So, excuse me. Let's fantasy book just really quick. If there was anybody in the past that you have never had a death match with, who would it be?
Would Bruiser Brody be considered deathmatch worker of the past to you guys?
Yes.
I would say
Yeah, to me, he would.
All day, man. I would love to. Okay, so I told you I was going to wrestling at the Chase in St. Louis. I was just a small child. And the guy that was taking me, we knew where they parked. So, Spike Huber would be going through. Andre the Giant would be going through. Even Bulldog Bob Brown, who was a big heel, was going through. And they were nice. They would shake your hands. The one guy that I could not approach was Bruiser Brody. I was a kid, and I would watch this man try to kick people's heads off their shoulders, and I believed it. But now that I know, I would have loved to have a match with Bruiser Brody.
Would you may have already have, and I just don't know. If you ever got the chance, even now, to wrestle at Sushi Onita in a death match, would you do it?
100 motherfucking %.
Yes.
Throw me in all four of them sides of that exploding shit. Just let me. So you guys know what tape trading is, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So back in the day, I had a compilation of Wing and FMW, and of course, the three major players on that was Masanaga, Mr. Danger, Mr. Pogo, and Onita.
Yep.
So I am proud to say that, rest in peace, but me and Mr. Pogo, we were on first name basis, and he always wanted me to come work for his company.
Oh,
Wow.
shit.
I am proud to say that me and Mr. Danger are not only on first name basis, but he gave me his armbands and told me to call myself the American Danger Man.
Wow.
I am
Holy
also
shit.
proud to say that me and Onita know each other, but I'm Big Japan and he's not. So there's like some kind of conflict there. But yes, all day. So I got to wrestle Mr. Pogo. I got to wrestle Mr. Danger. That third one would be my tape trading dream to get to wrestle Onita.
Wow. So in FMW, I love Japanese hardcore wrestling. My favorite wrestler, and it sucks that he's not alive, is Hayabusa. That man was amazing.
So I was on a show with Hayabusa, and when they said he was going to be there, I was kind of confused. And then they played his song, and some dude pushed him out real fast in a wheelchair, and
Oh.
he said some stuff, but then he sung a song, and what was supposed to be, I mean, the Japanese fans all love it, but to me, just knowing what Hayabusa was capable of and what he used to do, it almost, got me emotional. Like shit, man. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when that dude, that dude was like, how Hayabusa would run to the ring. Well, that dude was doing that, running him to where he was going in the wheelchair, and the people were going nuts. And after he got done singing the song, they were all loving it. So I really can't hate, but at least here's the thing about it. I didn't take a picture with him.
Oh.
I always take pictures. Two guys I couldn't bring myself to take a picture with. And that sounds terrible, but you just gotta wait till I'm done. Like Hayabusa, you guys remember what he looked like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a specimen of a fucking man.
Right.
But
Right.
in that wheelchair, like his wrestling mask didn't fit all that well. He was very skinny.
Yeah.
So I chose not to take a picture with Hayabusa. And then Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, he was really
Yeah.
sad near the end.
Oh yeah, he wasn't
I
looking
was
the
at a
greatest.
convention and he was right there, but I just, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong for that, but I want to remember them guys. I want people to remember them guys for what they was, not what happened to them and what they became. So I just didn't take a picture with those two.
Yeah. Man. Oh. Joe, you have any other questions, bud? I know you had a couple on your list.
What would you say was one wrestler or person that really helped your career in the start?
Abdullah the Butcher got me in Japan. I wrestled him at oh my god, it was in Missouri, Overland, Missouri. I got to wrestle Abdullah the Butcher for a company called MRW, ran by Mike Rogers and Big Ben, and so I wrestled Abdullah. And there's a lot of wrestlers who do not believe me, but I'm telling you the truth. After Abdullah gets done with his match, he wants to sit down, rest, get paid, and go home. We got done wrestling. I went to the back. I'm sitting there. He comes to the door. He goes, "Champ, you hear the people? Let's go back out." So we went out and we did another 5 minutes. I tell people that today. They're like, "There's no way Abdullah did that." I'm like, "No, I'm telling you the truth." So after that match, Abdullah said, "I'm getting ready to go to Japan. I will be back, and if you have a videotape at my restaurant by the time I get back, the next time I go to Japan, I'll take it with me." I couldn't do it, guys. I was too excited. The adrenaline was in me. I went home and I bet 3 o'clock in the morning, put 2 VCRs together, made a videotape, went to the post office the minute that it opened, overnighted it to his restaurant, and within 2 days, he's calling me going, "Damn, champ, you really want to go to Japan, don't you?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." So he took that videotape with him that time, and then I started going to Japan after that. So I would say Abdullah helped me out a lot. George Winecroft sat me down and more or less talked to me about things and what I needed to do. And one of the things that he said was, you need to get a tan. You need to start lifting weights. And he can already look at my face and he goes, "You're not willing to do either of those, are you?" I said, "No, sir, I'm not." And he goes, "Well, this is all I'm going to tell you. You need to always leave an impact everywhere you go." And I always held on to those words. And that's what I do, man. Like, every time I get done wrestling, if I haven't left an impact, then I might take a shit in the floor. People's going to remember me by the time I leave that building, all because of George Winecroft. And I mean, I say that, but piece of shit helped me out a lot. People wouldn't know who I was without him, without that guy. And I know you guys are wondering, hey, why is he turning heel on the guy? Well, here's the thing. I never talked bad about that guy because I knew back in the day, he's the one that helped make Madman Pondo, helped that Four Corners of Pain match for NWA at the truck stop, made it in the magazines, and then promoters wanted me. But over the years, and you guys all know the stories. Well, they're not stories; they're true about the man. But I would never speak out.
Right.
I had wrestling fans, I had podcasters, I had wrestlers, I had all types of people saying, "Hey, tell us about that terrible shit piece of shit was doing," and I would never do it. And then one day, where I live, he just threw caution to the wind and said some shit about me that, people messed with my car and all this. And after that, I was just done with the guy.
The dude's done a lot of crazy shit too.
Yeah.
I will say that. Like, he's definitely ruined some people's careers. I mean, you look at Jay Christ. Jay Christ is a prime example. I mean, the man literally had the title and all that stuff, and then he pretty much practically burned it. He burned it on Twitter.
He did.
I want to say, and it's
I
like,
loved every minute of it.
I loved it. It's like, this is what you get. You know what I mean? You're not paying the dude. You keep saying, "Hey, I want to pay the guy. Hey, I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you."
Yeah.
Where the fuck's my check? Where what the hell's going on? Where the hell is it at? And it's like, you know what I mean? You got to do, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. And Jay Chris,
Eventually,
more power to you, brother.
eventually, karma bites people on the ass.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was a karma-sized shark that bit him on his ass.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is kind of a controversial thing. What was your thought on the infamous Mike Levi incident with Mickey Knuckles?
Mike Levy.
Man, Mike Levy. Thank you.
Well, if you watch that video, I'm the last one that had my hands on him.
Oh, shit.
Yes, but
I never noticed that.
But I watched everybody else beat this man to death.
Right.
And he booked me later on because I was the last one to have my hands on him. But I suplexed him towards the door. But when I hooked him, I said, "Run to the door now." And then I suplexed him and he ran to the door. He says he always remembered that. So that's why he booked me later.
Yeah, that was a crazy spot. I remember a friend of mine let me borrow his tape. I said, "Hey, dude, you gotta watch this." It's like this girl named Mickey Knuckles. She's crazy in the ring and all that stuff. And there's a match with her against a dude named Mike Levy. And I mean, it was balls to the wall. It was absolutely stiff. It was absolutely a shoot, if I'm not mistaken.
But he walked out of the building, so who wins? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I handle things way different, guys. I don't handle things in the ring. If I have something to do, I will come to you. I will tell you my problem, and then whatever happens after that. That bullshit doing it in the ring crap, I don't respect it. I don't want to do it. trainees, there's a thing called chop class. I will never be a part of chop class. I don't get that shit. I don't get beating somebody half to death trying to learn how to professional wrestle, and because I didn't like it when it was happening to me. I told you those guys that I started with was kicking my shit in weekend after weekend. I hated it. I wasn't gonna quit, but I hated it. So I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody else.
Right.
So we got some fan questions.
Right.
Donnie wants to know who is your favorite tag team partner and why is Necro Butcher?
Wow. Me and Necro, we have very good chemistry together. I mean, so where I fail to be stiff with somebody, Necro always steps up to the plate. Yeah, Necro's probably my favorite tag partner. We just got done from Japan. In Japan, we was there 3 weeks, and we had a great time. And I wouldn't have wanted to go with anybody else. I don't know if you guys knew this. 2 years ago, he was 150 pounds in a wheelchair, about to die.
Yep.
And now he's got his weight back. He's got people afraid to be in the ring with him because they're gonna get that Texas punch, and
Right.
he's back to normal.
What do you think about his group with Jasmine St. Clair and XPW?
I will tell you this. So you three, or nobody else will ever know my views of what I got in my head, because I like getting booked. Well,
Of course.
Necro, we would be doing a photo shoot, and he would try to throw that Trump flag in front of me. I'd be like, no, motherfucker. I'd be trying to put a Trump hat on me. And finally he was like, why don't you go along with it? And I'm like, because I like getting booked. Now, I might be the biggest Trump supporter in the world. I might be the biggest Joe Biden fan in the world. I might, I don't know. I might fucking love porn more than anybody else in the world.
Hell yeah.
But nobody's going to know that, because I'm not going to openly say shit on the internet where I offend any promoter that doesn't want to bring me in.
Right.
And trust me, I have bit my lip a lot sitting in locker rooms listening to promoters and wrestlers say their views on things. But you'll never know which one of the views bothers me, because I keep my fucking mouth shut.
I still think Necro Butcher, and this is just my opinion, I still think his best match was in IWA Mid-South with Samoa Joe.
Yes.
God, that match was amazing.
Okay. I was there. Now, me and Necro, we were in Japan. And so let me back up. All right. Me and Necro got booked for Jakara for their tag team thing. And our first opponents was the Ring of Honor students. I don't know if you guys saw the DVD, but I'll explain what happened right now. So we're sitting there, and they asked the Ring of Honor kids, they said, we need you guys to cut a promo on Pondo and Necro. Well, they started saying shit like how we was a cancer to the business and we never spent any time in the dojo. I mean, they were just cutting a promo. I didn't give a shit, right? They got done, and they said, okay, Pondo and Necro, it's time for you guys to do your promo. I stood up to do it. Necro put his hand on my shoulder and sat me back down and said, we'll cut our promo in the ring. Now, I thought that meant I was going to grab the microphone and cut our promo in the ring.
Right.
No, that meant Necro was pissed off, and he took it out on them Ring of Honor kids, bigger and shit, right? Well, Samoa Joe was helping training at Ring of Honor, and he heard and saw what had happened to the kids. So while we was in Japan, it was booked Samoa Joe versus Necro. And I don't even think Samoa Joe was trying to be malicious. He was just trying to cause controversy. And he started saying the same shit. You know, hey, that fucking Necro, he don't know how to wrestle. He spent no time in the dojo. All this shit. Well, that was a week before we went home, and every time I'd go up into the computer room, Necro would be listening to that same interview. So we get to the ECW arena. Samoa Joe's there. I'm there. And Necro is not there. Later on, I found out he was late on purpose. He comes to me. You guys ever been in ECW arena?
Oh, God, I wish.
I wish.
No.
Okay. Well, there is a top place, and then there. Oh, you know where CZW used to do their underground hardcore matches down below?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's called the Catacombs. So
Okay.
Necro came to me and he goes, Pondo, I'm going down in the Catacombs. I don't care if my mom's having a heart attack and you hear about it. Don't come get me until one match before me and Joe. I said, okay, you got it. Sure enough, Joe's running around going, where's Necro? Piece of shit's running around going, where's Necro? And I just kept my mouth shut. And then finally, that match happened. I went down. I said, all right, Necro, you're almost on. So the match you saw was barely talked about. All that punching each other in the face and power bombing each other on them guardrails and that head first to the floor.
Yeah.
None of that shit was talked about. I was in the arena, and that was the most intense back and forth from the crowd that I had ever seen. You know, someone was like, let's go, Necro. Let's go, Joe. And Sabu's up there like, oh, my God, these guys are killing each other. And you know, I was there, and I am so happy I was there. I agree with you. That was probably my favorite hardcore packed impact match that I'd ever seen.
And Nick and Joey, just in case you want to know the names of the two ROH students, it was Anthony Franco and Matt Turner.
Well, let me go on farther with that. So Necro beat up them two Ring of Honor kids, and we get down in the dressing room. I go, damn it, Necro, we finally make it to Jakara, and you got to beat kids up. What the fuck's wrong with you? And he's like, well, you heard what they said. I'm like, who cares what they said? We finally made it here, right? So then, because we beat them two Ring Honor kids, then they moved us on to two guys named Men at Work. And the Men at Work guys start explaining all these things they want to do with me and Necro. And I mean, this spot to this spot to this spot to this spot. And finally, I stopped them. I said, listen, me and Necro, we don't do what you guys are talking about. Are you going to be able to walk us through this stuff? And it's like, oh, yeah, we do this all the time, right? 1, 2, 3 spot in, they forgot everything. So it was either make the match look like shit or make the match look good. So I was putting it to them. I accidentally broke one of their nose, and I was doing shit. And Necro's on the side going, oh, Pondo, don't beat up the Jakara kids.
Oh, man.
So, Joey, what was the Jerry Springer question you had?
What's your most interesting story with working at your time with Jerry Springer?
I was not listed as a producer, but I was getting them guests and making a hell of a check out of the Jerry Springer show. So they asked me, they was like, do you know any crazy people for the show? I'm like, I'm a wrestler. Of course I know some crazy people. So I just kept sending them my friends, and every 2 weeks I was getting a check from the Jerry Springer show. When I finally stopped doing it, the problem with the Jerry Springer show back then, which is not a thing anymore, was you was on call 24/7.
Right.
If they needed a guest at 4 o'clock in the morning, they expected to call. They expected you to answer the phone and help them find a guest. Well, none of my stoner friends are awake at 4 o'clock in the morning. They're all out, you know. But anyway, so finally I stopped. But that's when I was going to Japan all the time, so I wasn't worried about the money. And then all of a sudden, I stopped going to Japan. I was like, shit, I maybe shouldn't have left the Jerry Springer show. But yeah, man, yeah, I had a good time. Like they would fly me in, and I got to hang out with my guests. Uh, they not everybody got them, but they would give us vouchers for House of Blues and restaurants, and yeah, man, it was just Jerry Springer show was just a good time with me. And Jerry was such a nice guy. Like after he kept saw me walk around, and finally he would just have conversations with me, which was pretty cool. Steve hated me. Fucking
Oh shit!
Yeah, I was going to ask you how Steve was.
he hated me. He hated me. So me, Tony, me, Mitch Page, and my girlfriend at the time went on the show, and I didn't want people was gonna know that we was wrestlers, but I didn't want them to know that we were fake. So I got Mitch and Tony together in the green room before the show, and I said, "Listen, I love you guys before the show. I love you guys after. Let's go out there and let's really fucking pound each other." So, of course, we was doing that. I mean, we were knocking the shit out of each other, and Steve was having to separate us. Finally, I couldn't get to him because the security kept stopping us. So I stood up and I said, "Listen, Tony, I don't care about that girl. I don't want to lose a friend. Just shake my hand." And I went over and I acted like I was going to shake Tony's hand, and I stowed him in the fucking eye, right? Well, Steve was a real cop.
Right.
And he sees things like that. He's supposed to arrest people. So, man, he got pissed at me. Now, there was like a broad-shouldered Mexican security guard. I don't know if you guys remember him. But we started fighting each other, and this dude took 2 fingers and stuck it down in my collarbone. He could have asked me to suck his dick. I don't know if I'd have said no. That's how bad that hurt.
My brother got out of basic training and put that on me, and that is painful.
Yeah. He dragged me to the back. Dude, I wasn't arguing. Boom, man. And he dragged me to the back, and then I didn't get to go out for question and answering. But I don't know. Somebody saw my worth there with all these crazy people I knew, and I had a pretty good time at that Jerry Springer show.
Nice.
So I have a question. You got inducted to the GCW Deathmatch Hall of Fame back in 2019. Talk to me about how that came about.
I really don't know. Just one day, Brett called me and asked me if I would like to be in the GCW Hall of Fame, and I thought for about 2 seconds, fuck yeah. So sure enough, they flew me there, and the other guys were their acceptance speeches were a little short, and Brett said, "Pondo, you got the floor, go." And just like with you guys, I can't shut my fucking mouth. So I would tell story after story. I'd turn around and Brett would be like, "Yeah, go ahead and go." And I would go. I'd look, Brett, yeah. So, yeah, that's how that came about. He just called and asked me one day.
Now, when I asked you the question earlier, if there was anybody from the past that you've never had a death match, is there anybody now on the current GCW roster that you would like to get in there with?
I'd really like to do something with PCO.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. I respect that not only was this dude in WWE,
Right.
but me and him is damn near the same age, and I wouldn't do a lot of the things that he does, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that I do that he wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a pretty good mashup. I would like to see that happen.
Every time he does that front flip off the top rope onto the ring apron, scares the shit out of me, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
every fucking time.
Well,
And I'm not doing that. 53-year-old Pondo's not doing it. Hell
Well,
no.
I watched Under Siege, Impact Wrestling's Under Siege, and it was him against Steve Macklin for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. And I mean, this dude, and just kudos to PCO. The man took a mean ass
Yeah.
bump.
Fucking bloodbath.
Oh
Another
my
guy-
god! The
another
stage
guy-
was in his mouth.
Another
You know what
guy
I mean?
I'd
Like
like to do something with is Matt Cardona.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god. Yes, yes.
Yes!
That's the real deathmatch king.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. So I talked this promoter into booking Matt Cardona versus me. And what I didn't know was the promoter didn't tell Matt Cardona that it was me that he was wrestling. And I went to the ASW Hall of Fame, and Matt
Right.
Cardona was there, and Chelsea Green was there. And me and Chelsea, we've known, I own Girl Fight. So me and Chelsea, we've been friends for a while. We hugged. Hey, Chelsea, how's it going? And then Matt Cardona came over, and I said, hey, how's it going? I'm Pondo. And he goes, oh, I know who you are. Don't worry about it. I know who you are. And then I said, yeah, I'm really looking forward to August. And he goes, what's August? I said, that's when we're wrestling each other. He goes, oh, I'm wrestling you? And I said, yeah. And I could see he went from all smiles to all no smiles. And then on my way home, that promoter wrote me and said, I don't know what's going on, but Matt Cardona just sent me this. And he sent me the text that Matt Cardona's manager. No, it's Matt Cardona. But anyway, he sent me the text that Matt Cardona's supposedly manager sent. And it said, hey, we're very excited to come in August, but we don't know about a Madman Pondo match. If you can find us another opponent, we'll be happy to come in. I don't know what that man thought I was going to do. I wanted to help his story along that he's the killer, the king of the death matches. I won 2003. I was going to put that man over like $1 million. I wasn't going to do anything he didn't want me to do. So, if somebody out there is listening to this podcast and they talk to Matt Cardona, even if you're a fan and he's signing autographs or something, say, stop pussing out to Madman Pondo. He's a fucking good dude and he's not out to kill anybody.
I'd like to see you go at it with, and he gets so criticized lately for all of his bleeding, but man, I'd love to see you go against Moxley. And Moxley.
We've wrestled each other before. Me and Necro would take on what were they? The Switchblade Connection.
Yeah.
Yes.
Switchblade.
Yes.
Him and Sammy.
Yes.
Yeah, we did it. We did at for my birthday show. I took on Sammy. I think Necro took on Moxley, but then for Sammy Callahan did some show for a friend of his that died, and it was the Switchblade Connection versus me and Necro. And so I mean, I got time, right?
Yeah.
All right. I was with Sarah Logan. I don't know if you guys knew that, or Crazy Mary Dobson, but so I won't even go through the backstory, but I was one of the do you remember on Raw, they threw Moxley in a door and all the security guards were standing in front of that door and wouldn't let him go. And then later on, he was just walking around. They said, hey, how'd you get out? He goes, I walked through the back door.
Yes.
Or something like that. Okay, well, they used all the security guards for the guys that was supposed to catch Adam Rose. Well, I was in the hotel with, I didn't care about going to Raw. I was watching something on HBO, and WWE called me in the hotel and said, hey, we would love you to come down and be one of the Rosebuds to catch Adam Rose. And I don't know, I'm not a WWE guy. I don't care about it. I was like, I'm kind of watching something on TV. They said, we'll give you $200. Sold, right? I explained to him right then and right there. I'm like, look, I'm in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre t-shirt and a pair of blue jean shorts. I don't have no fancy clothes. And they said, we don't care. We need people. Come on down. So, of course, Sarah talked to me. Darcy Dixon talked to me. Nobody else would talk to me. They were all decked out in suits and fancy clothes. And here I am walking in like I just got off, done mowing my lawn or some shit. So I don't think they knew none of the extras knew who I was. So none of them were really talking to me. Finally, we're waiting on Adam Rose and Sami Zayn, who was the bunny that day. They were going over their shit, and somebody comes up, puts me in a headlock, and gives me a couple of working punches, and they let me go. I look up, it's fucking Moxley, and he's like, "Pondo, man, I miss you," and all this shit, and we're, you know, it was to the point we were talking. I forgot Sarah was behind me, who was my girlfriend at the time, who stabbed me with her fingernail. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is my girlfriend, Sarah Logan. So, and here's the thing. Moxley would talk to nobody, not any of the WWE stars, not any of the extras, but me. We had like a 6-7 minute conversation. So now all the extras, they see that me and Moxley was talking, and now they want to talk to me. And I'm like, no, fuck you guys. And then we went to where all the food is.
Catering.
We went to catering. There's Sami Zayn. Hey, Pondo. There's Kevin Owens. Pondo, and all this shit. Paul Heyman. Hey, Madman Pondo, So all these extras are now like, we don't know who this guy is, but we need to get on his good side. But by then I was like, you know what? If you didn't like me here, you can't like me here. So that's my attitude on that. But I can't even remember what the question was. Did I answer it?
Yes. And then some.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I'm so full of shit. I just get on a rant.
No, dude.
We welcome it.
No,
we
welcome it.
So
Okay.
so you worked briefly for UWF. Do you have any crazy Herb Abrams stories?
Oh, my God. Yes, I do. And what's funny is a lot of people didn't even know what UWF was until that Dark Side of the Ring came out.
Yep.
I'm getting ready to blow you guys' fucking mind.
Let's go.
So you saw the match, Joey, right?
Yep.
All right. It's me. So for WCW, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had a ninja manager for about, 4 months. Well, that was a friend of mine named Howard Brackney. And the only reason they gave him the job was because he had the outfit. It's not that his skills were any better than anybody else's, but they gave him the job. So after they pulled the mask off and it was Paul Dangerously under the mask, his job was done, right? But he talked this company, UWF, into booking us down in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. I knew what UWF was because my parents had one of them big ass satellites that you had to match up with the signal. And,
Oh, yeah.
And it may or may not have been pirated. I'm not trying to get my parents in trouble. So yes, and it also helped out all that tape trading because I got wrestling from everywhere. But one of them was the UWF, so I knew what it was. I was familiar with it. So we drive all the way down to Fort Lauderdale. What would normally take 14, 15 hours took 17 or 18 because there's a section called the Eagle's Nest or Eagle's Ridge or something like that. Well, there was a huge ass traffic jam. When we got to the end of it, somebody had hit a bear and it's laying out in the road and you can see it breathing, and all I can think is I can't wait till that thing gets up and smacks the ass off of somebody. But so anyway, it took us a long time to get to Fort Lauderdale. When we got there, we walk in the lobby and Bruno Sammartino and Cap Lou Albano is sitting in 2 chairs. And Howard goes and introduces themselves, and then they introduce themselves to me, and I'm like, "Holy shit, that's pretty cool." So then they said, "Hey, go ahead and take your bags upstairs, come down, and we got you guys' breakfast." I got my breakfast paid for by Bruno Sammartino and Cap Lou Albano. I'm like freaking out, like, these are two of the nicest guys in the world. So before we went to the studio, I knew who Herb Abrams was because he couldn't keep himself off his own TV show. You guys all saw that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Herbie
Pretty
cookies.
so he comes out in the hallway, and I'm like 20 something. I'm not a big drug guy, but I know he's not been sniffing on powdered donuts. And I said, hey Herb, you might want to get that out from underneath your nose. He takes one thumb and this finger, does this, and snorts it right back up. I'm like, all right. Herb Abrams is the first man that I ever saw do coke. So we go to the show. There's a whole bunch of wrestlers on. Okay, so I think it's called the War Memorial Coliseum or something. There's 2 dressing rooms on each side, and then there's an electric room in the middle. And I see a whole bunch of wrestlers going to the left, so I go to the left. And there's a list of wrestlers on this piece of paper. And I'm looking, and I'm not on this piece of paper. Luna Vachon, Gangrel, who's Dave, there's all these names on this list, but I'm not part of it. So on that same special, that guy that had that golden jacket, I went over to him and I said, hey, I'm hoping I'm not mistaken, but I'm not on the list. And he goes, oh, go check that list over there. I go check that list over there. It says Captain Lou Albano, Cowboy Bob Orton, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, B. Brian Blair, Steve Williams, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Madman Pondo. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I am in that locker room, and they are stacked on top of each other in this locker room.
Oh, shit.
So I go out there, and Joey, you saw the match. I'm 2 years in.
Yeah.
It was the shits. I was the shits. And I come to the back, and the guy with the golden jacket brings me back into not the dressing rooms, but that electric room I was telling you about. And Bruno Sammartino's in there, and Greg DeGeorge is in there. You guys remember Greg DeGeorge?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're in there. I walk back in there, and the dude with the golden jacket's like, what was that? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. What was you wanting? And they said, where was all the moonsaults? Where was all over the top rope stuff? Where was all the dives to the floor? And I said, oh, did you guys want me to try that stuff? And they said, try that stuff. Well, Bruno, oh man, if you go back and watch the match, Bruno, Greg DeGeorge, and Captain Lou Albano do nothing but shit on me on commentary the whole fucking time. So then I figure it out. And Howard Brightney, he needed a ride to the show. So he told UWF I could do all this shit that I never even dreamed of doing. Now, the shitty part about that was we didn't only have 15 hours to Fort Lauderdale. We had 18 hours to Fort Lauderdale. And all he had to do was say, hey, I told these guys you could do all this shit. And then I could have faked an injury. I could have done anything other than go out there and just look fucking stupid. But I was booked 3 times for UWF. And after that, they took me off of these 2. I only got to do 1 show for UWF. But yeah, man. Now that the Dark Side of the Ring came out, I feel very fortunate that in my match, it was me versus the Super Ninja with a guy named Mr. Red, who was also on that Dark Side of the Ring. And then Herb Abrams did a run-in, and then Captain Lou Albano did a run-in, and all that in my match. You can see that all in that one match, but nah, they fucking hated me. They got me out of there bigger than shit.
Now, speaking of Dark Side of the Ring, have you watched the new episode of Dark Side?
I have not. And the one that I'm looking forward to, I wrestled the Junkyard Dog.
Oh wow!
Yeah, my second year into wrestling, and when he showed up, he wanted to leave. I did not know about other addictions that he had, and when he showed up like 3 or 4 matches in. He's like, all right, I want to wrestle who I'm wrestling, get paid, and leave. And the promoter was like, no, you're main event, you're the Junkyard Dog, and so already he's pissed off, and he's arguing with the promoter. Well, I went around the corner and I said, Howard, it's okay, 4th, 5th match, whatever. And Junkyard Dog looks at me and he goes, you're who I'm wrestling? And I said, yeah. And he goes, grab your boots, son. It's time to go to school. And I was like, holy shit. So I know this guy's pissed off. He's going to beat the fuck out of me. But it's my first WWE guy that I ever wrestled, so I want it to be good. So, never say Madman Pondo don't use his fucking brain. I know people out there will tell you how stupid I am. No, I use my brain. If you guys are, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the old Saturday night main events.
Yeah.
They did one on Mother's Day. And the Junkyard Dog brought his mother to the ring, and they was doing that knee clapping dance and all this shit. And then Junkyard Dog grabbed the microphone and, hey, we wouldn't be nowhere without all the mothers in the world. I love all the mothers. So I remembered that. So I asked somebody to go out and get my mom and bring her to the dressing room. I've never asked my mom to the dressing room. My mom was so confused. Why the hell is my son asked me to come to the locker room? So I had her take a picture of me and Junkyard Dog. And I said, yeah, Junkyard Dog, this is my mom. And my mom and Junkyard Dog sit there and had a little conversation. And finally, Junkyard Dog goes, this is your son? And my mom goes, yeah. And he goes, I'm going to take good care of him. So then the promoter came over to me later and he goes, I don't know what happened, but Junkyard Dog doesn't want to pin you. He wants to go over by disqualification. Because I'm fucking smart. That's why.
Wow, that's cool.
That's good stuff.
I would like to see that one. I was always a Bam Bam fan, so I'd like to see the Bam Bam one coming out.
They're saving Marty Jannetty's episode for
Dude,
last.
Marty, yeah.
That's going to be...
The one that I was so happy about was the Bruiser Brody one, because it answered so many questions that so many people have asked.
Yeah.
I was really glad about that one.
Well, I was telling them, I was like, when they first announced the season, I was like, man, they did, the first episode was on Chris Candido and Tammy Sitch.
Yeah.
I was really hoping it would be a 2-parter. First one be Chris Candido, second one be all about Tammy. Really hoping.
Nothing about Tammy?
Yeah. It was good. It was good, but I wish it was, like I said, I wish there was a longer episode dedicated more to Tammy. It was just little spurts of her.
I mean, I feel like my favorite Dark Side of the Ring episode has to be in New Jack is definitely up there.
Fuck yeah.
Definitely up there.
No, you know what? I actually got a question for you really quick. We were talking about this before you got on. Now, New Jack, I know you wrestled him a lot.
A lot.
Now, was New Jack 24/7?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of people always talk about how they didn't get along with New Jack in the ring and all this shit. Well, this is what I understood from the get-go, and this is why anytime he needed somebody to wrestle, he'd always tell a promoter, get Madman Pondo. If you get into a New Jack match, that's what it is. It's a New Jack match. Don't go there with your ideas. Don't go there explaining what you want to do, what you want to get in. Let him explain what he wants you to do, and then you get along with the man. And yeah, we wrestled in Puerto Rico, Indiana, fucking Ohio, New Mexico. We wrestled each other all over the place, and I never had one problem, not one.
Yeah, it sucks he's no longer on this earth, man. God, it sucks.
Yeah, I was a shocker.
It really threw me back because we we had just he managed the guy that I wrestled for Antifight Underground, which was maybe a month and a half before his death, and then everybody started reporting that he's dead. You can look on. Well, I have a different cell phone now, but on my old cell phone, I'm writing him saying, "Hey Jack, write me back. There's a bunch of fuckers saying that you're dead. I want to debunk it. Write me back." But no, I didn't get nothing back.
And it's a shocker too. Another good episode. This is actually a two-parter. Is the Chris Benoit episode?
You know. So, are you guys all a fan of Chris Benoit?
I'm so divided on how to feel about him.
I would say
I don't know.
professional wrestling career, in ring, absolutely.
Okay, so because you guys asked, I'm going to give you my take on it. I don't care what that man did in the ring, how fucking great he was. Nancy didn't deserve it, but Dewey didn't deserve it. Not Dewey, whatever
Daniel.
his
Daniel.
I'm sorry.
Daniel.
Dewey is Mick Foley's kid. I don't even know. All right, so if you people keep talking about he had brain damage. People keep talking about all types of things. Here's the thing. Even if he can be the best wrestler in the world and kill his wife. Okay, if he killed his wife because of brain damage, I get it. Maybe there was a problem. He went from his wife to Daniel.
Yeah.
I cannot get over that Daniel had to suffer through this shit. So, in my opinion, I don't let people talk about Chris Benoit and how great he was around me, because if it wasn't for Daniel, okay, maybe I would be comfortable with it someday, but no.
But yeah, I think he was lucid enough because he was placing Bibles and all that. So yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Another one was Owen Hart. When they did Owen Hart, I think that one was
I remember that one.
Emotional roller coaster, to say the least.
You know, I never met Owen Hart. Everybody talks about what a good guy he was, always pulling ribs and stuff like that. So I have no reason, no right, I'd say, to talk about Owen Hart. But fucking terrible, man. I mean, and can you imagine the people that was sitting in the crowd that watched this man fall to his death?
You know, I still tell the guys here, that's one pay-per-view that I can't go and watch. I have never watched it.
Yeah,
but
since
that's not on
99.
there, right?
Yeah,
it's on there.
No, it's not on there. You just it goes to Jim Ross and King saying there's something sad happened in the ring. You know, that type of.
I think
Jimmy Corderas is the referee. That was supposed to be the ref that match. He's done shoot interviews where he talks about it, and it says how horrifying it was. And man, I would have hated to have been in his place.
Yeah, I hear
you.
Let's get some upbeat questions going.
Oh man, what else you got, Nick? Anything else, Bubba?
Oh man,
I got something. How about this?
What you got?
Yo, okay.
Wow.
Memoirs of a Madman.
So I wrote my own book, and I haven't had one bad review about it. People have talked about how they've laughed out loud just reading the book.
Killer cover, I tell you
it is. It has all types of. Look at there. There's me and Jerry Springer and Steve right there.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Let's see. 291 pages of nothing but me putting wrestling, every embarrassing thing that happened to me in my life, going to Washington and speaking in between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial for ICP, Everything is in this book. And if you want a copy, you can go to Amazon.com. But if you want an autographed copy, go to EatSleepWrestle.com and talk to John Cosper about getting an autographed copy. And then anybody out there who wants any Madman Pondo t-shirts, there is a guy named Corey Higdon who started a website for all deathmatch workers to sell their merchandise on. There's tons of Madman Pondo t-shirts on there. Any deathmatch worker you can think of probably has a t-shirt on there, and that is deathmatchworldwide.com. Tell Corey Higdon I sent you.
I've heard of that website.
Hell yeah.
I actually got me an Akira t-shirt a while back.
There you go.
Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll put those links in the description in our video so people can go to it.
Yeah, I just put some graphics up of your t-shirts.
Okay, cool.
But man, I don't know how you are, man, but I'm getting tired, Bubba.
But by any chance, one of the t-shirts that you put up, was it the last one that says Azawa made me in Japan, where I'm fighting a samurai with my
yes, the samurai fight shirt.
I love that t-shirt. Azawa knocked that t-shirt out of the park.
Oh yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Well, on my behalf, I'm sure the rest of the guys, we want to say thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for serenading.
Thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah, that's it.
In the wrestling business. Just thank you. That's all we can say. And thank you for giving our little podcast the time of your night.
Yeah, I want to apologize to you guys. I told you my brain ain't all there, and then
no worries, man. No worries.
We was informed, but it is what it is.
I hear you.
It's all good, man. We were literally just sitting here talking video games and playing Nintendo. We're okay.
I hear you. And I hope I did you guys good. I hope the stories I told was so. What? Let me end it in this.
Okay.
I always try to tell good stories, and I try and do my best in the ring. I try to be a good person because I want to live on after I die. And what I mean by that is after I pass away, I want people to talk about me, not like piece of shit that I've been talking about this whole time. I want people to say, you know, hey, that Madman Pondo was a good guy. So while I'm on this podcast, and we'll end it at this, in my hometown, there was a headstone from a guy named Holt, Holt. And he had a demon head on his headstone. Big ears, big tongue. And everybody in my hometown would make up stories about this guy, you know. Oh, he was a big Satanist that murdered virgins. And, you know, none of that shit's true. But, you know, small town, demon head on a headstone. People's going to make shit up. I don't want a demon head on my headstone. But I do want a skull and crossbones where people are going to still make up stories about me long after I die. And the second thing, I do not want to have a funeral. I don't want a whole bunch of people sitting in a room crying about things that I could have done. I want them laughing and having a good time about shit that I did. So instead of a funeral, I want somebody to set up a big screen TV and play the movie Dumb and Dumber, because that's the funniest movie that I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Yes, it is.
And with that, I'll give it to you guys.
And with that being said, you've reached the end of the podcast. Thank you so much to Madman Pondo.
No problem.
For joining us on this podcast, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you've done for the deathmatch wrestling scene and for pro wrestling in general. Yes. And please, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like the stuff, make sure to head on over to youtube.com/WhatAKayfabe and hit that subscribe button. Also, smash that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our content whenever we upload. We got more stuff with Wrestling Society X, reaction videos. We got that coming. We know you guys have been loving it. You've been liking the stuff. It's great stuff. Don't want to miss out. We got episode 3 and 4 coming soon, as a matter of fact. Also, we also have Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere and anywhere that you can find your local whatever you can find us, it's there. And also, of course, we love you if you subscribe. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, TikTok. And that's pretty much it. For the Venomous one, Nick Venom.
I thought I was full of shit and talked a lot.
I talk a lot. I talk a lot. Also, if you're down, this is my last plug. If you're down in Lafayette, Louisiana, WWE SmackDown will be coming to the Gage Dome. Yours truly, the Venomous one, will be there. Come say hi to me. And that's pretty much it. For the Venomous one, Nick Venom, Dan the Mother Effing Man, the Staggerly Crocker, and the one, the only, Madman Pondo. Say so long, good night, Crocker. Hit that track.
Gentlemen, as you know, the Ultimate Warrior. Fuck it. It's publicly stated that, damn it, who put that up? Is that $200 an hour?
That's all. Oh, me gusta.